The next fable I'm going to look at is Alice, and she is one of my favorites. She is probably one of the more complicated characters in the game, as she has a number of things that must come into play, and you have to strategize and plan how you're going to play her each of her turns to be the most effective. So first off, Alice is going to have 3 different avatar cards, and at the beginning of each one of her turns, she must select a different avatar to be from the one that she was the previous turn. These are going to be the Cheshire Cat, the Mad Hatter, and the Queen of Hearts. Each one of these avatar cards is going to give a bonus to all of your basic cards of one type and a reduction in all of your basic cards of another type. So depending upon how your hand is, you'll want to play the one that is most beneficial for that turn. Now, as she gets into her skill cards, there'll be a number of different twist cards and skill cards that she can play that will allow her to change her avatar throughout the turn, so she can switch between all the different avatars as her turn goes, and that will be part of the planning stage of this. Now, it is key for Alice to go into the late game. Again, she is a late game winner, and her decks are mostly going to be about different things. Each one of them will focus on one of her avatars. Only one of them is actually going to be able to deal damage, so it is going to be key for her to be able to utilize her different abilities in her avatars to be effective. Now, there's nothing better than looking on your opponent's face when you're able to cycle through your entire deck of cards, as that is possible with Alice, as she has a number of different movement cards. So anytime she moves past her opponent, she'll get to draw cards, and depending upon the card that she plays, she might be able to draw multiple cards. So it is very possible later in the game that Alice will be able to go through and have 10, 12, 15 cards in her as she goes through her deck, and easily spin through potentially her whole deck in her turn, as there'll be a number of ways that she can also get rid of some of her basic cards out of her deck and get more powerful cards in there. So she is very easy for her potentially to utilize that. So that is going to be the key with Alice, is trying to build up her basic cards early on so that you can take advantage of them later in the game. Also keeping her somewhat defended, as you are going to need to make it late in the game in order to be effective with her. If you're facing Alice, you want to hit her hard and fast, again trying to deal as much damage as you can to reduce her before you get into that later game, those later game rounds where she can really start punishing you with a lot of different cards and being able to really draw into her deck and take full advantage of all of her different avatars. Even her twist cards are going to be very focused on her avatars, so it is going to take a lot more planning and thinking with Alice to be effective. But man, when you get it, it is so much fun. From there, let's talk about Alice's backstory. So in Alice's world, everybody enjoys smoking on hookahs and having all kinds of crazy illusions and dreams and everything else. And so as time went on, Alice has a couple of different personas. She starts as a socialite, as the Mad Hatter, and she is also a pretty accomplished wizard, where she is able to transfer her conscious into her mechanical Cheshire Cat. And on one of these occasions, when she was the Cheshire Cat, she roamed into an area she probably should have, where she saw the higher-ups, the rulers of her land, in a meeting with an unworldly creature that was smoke and red and just not barely human. And she saw where the smoke from these hookahs is coming from, and it is this being that is basically controlling and manipulating the leaders of this world to do what she wants them to do, as she rewards them with this unearthly smoke. So Alice pledged at that point that she was going to free her land, and took up the new avatar of the Queen of Hearts to take care of the things that needed to be done vigilante style. And then she also kept up her personas as the Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat to throw people off the trail. So from here, let's go ahead and take a look at Alice's cards, breaking down each one of the decks to see what her strengths and weaknesses are. Alice has 3 different avatar cards: the Queen of Hearts, the Mad Hatter, and the Cheshire Cat. At the beginning of her first activation, she must choose one of these to be her active role, and then at the beginning of each of her subsequent activations, she must change her avatar to a different one than the one that she currently is. Now, throughout the game and throughout her turns, she will have many opportunities to change her avatar throughout that, to take advantage of the different avatars. And each one is going to provide you with a bonus to one of your skills, adding a +1 to it, and reducing one of your other skills by +1. So with the Queen of Hearts, she is going to improve your attacks, but lower your movement cards' abilities. The Mad Hatter will increase your defensive cards, but will decrease your attack cards. And the Cheshire Cat will increase your movement cards, but decrease your defense cards. Alice has a very powerful attack deck. With her cards, they do multiple things. Starting with Deal the Cards, it is going to have a range 1 damage, and is going to have her opponent reveal 3 basic cards from her hand. You're going to gain damage plus the level of the basic skill card you played for each one of the cards she cannot or chooses not to reveal. And then you can choose one of those cards and have a copy of it placed into your discard pile from the basic deck. And then you can also change your avatar to the Queen of Hearts. From there, she's going to move over to Cut the Cards, which is going to have an additional range and damage, and will increase that number of basic cards revealed to 4. And that is also going to do additional damage, and everything else will stay the same. From there, she's going to unlock her first twist, which is Off with Her Head. This particular one is going to have, while your avatar is the Queen of Hearts, when you would add a card into your discard pile via the attack skills, so using one of these cards, you will be able to instead add that to your hand. So instead of having to add one of those cards to the discard pile, it goes straight to your hand, which is going to allow you to do even more. Then you have Rig the Cards, which is her most powerful version. This one is going to have a range of 3 and damage of 3, as well as doing everything before, except for this time you have to reveal 5 cards. So just super powerful. From there, the final twist is it's Showtime, and these are going to be cumulative, as each one of her skills is going to have this as the final twist. With these, when you would draw cards at the end of each of your turns, you get to draw 1 extra card. And that is going to be massively powerful as well. So the longer the game goes, the more powerful Alice gets as she can draw more cards into her hand. Alice's defensive deck is all about deck manipulation. She's going to start with her Magic Trick card, which is going to increase her defense by 1, and then she can choose to destroy up to 1 basic card from her hand or discard pile. For each card destroyed in this way, you get to add a no higher than level card based on whatever basic card is destroyed into your discard pile from its supply deck. And then you may change your avatar to the Mad Hatter. From there, she's going to move into Mind Trick. With this one, it's going to increase her defense by 2, and then she can destroy up to 2 basic cards, doing the same thing. From there, she's going to unlock her first twist, which is Wonderland. With this one, while your avatar is the Mad Hatter, when you use a card to add to your discard pile via the defensive card, so one of these, you get to instead add it to your hand. So it works just like the attack card, except for this one is going to be with the defensive skill. From there, then she's going to move on to Hat Trick. With this one, it's going to add +3 defense to her, and then she can destroy up to 3 basic cards, and again, adding some of those cards in, or changing them over to defensive cards. Finally, she's going to unlock her second twist card, which again, it's Showtime, is going to allow her to draw 1 additional card at the end of each of her turns. And Alice's last deck is the Movement deck, and this one is a ton of fun. I've had a blast with this deck. She's going to start with her Curiously Agile card, and this one is going to allow her to move up to 1 space, plus the number or level of the movement card she spends to activate this card in one direction. Now, if she moves through her opponent in this way, she gets to draw 1 card, and then you may change your avatar to the Cheshire Cat. This is going to increase with the Curiously Covert, with her being able to move up to 2 spaces plus the basic movement card she plays to activate this in one direction. And then if she passes through her opponent, she gets to add 2 cards to her hand, and she can change over to the Cheshire Cat. From there, then she's going to unlock the first twist, which is while you're the avatar Cheshire Cat, after you move through an opponent with a move action, not with a skill, then you get to add another card to your hands. Then she's over to her level 3, which is Curiously Curious. And with this one, she is going to move 3 spaces plus the movement card in one direction, and then she gets to draw 3 cards if she moves through her opponent. So you are just going to be constantly adding cards if you can chain some of these together, which is going to make your hand more and more powerful. Finally, she has Showtime again, where she's going to be able to add an additional card when she draws at the end of each of her turns. So unlocking a couple of these can also be very powerful, and your opponents will just be overwhelmed with the number of cards that you're going to be dishing out each turn. Alice's epic cards are just fun, and it will be hard to choose which one to use all the time. So the first one is the Games Afoot. With this one, it is going to be a range 3 damage attack that lets you shuffle up to 5 of your basic cards from your hand and or discard pile into your opponent's deck, thinning out the useless cards in your deck and adding them over to your opponent. From there, then we have an important date. After you draw cards, at the end of your turn, you're going to discard down to 4 cards in your hand, and then you get to immediately start another turn. This can only be done 3 times, which is just terrifying to think that you could potentially have up to 3 extra turns. And then you have Fraptious Day. With this one, until the end of the turn, your attack cards, defense cards, and movement cards are all going to gain a +1. And this is going to be in addition to any other bonuses or effects that your cards are going to have. Well, I hope that you found this video helpful and gave you a little bit of insight into this particular fable. I will have videos covering each one of the fables, as well as some other videos covering Twisted Fables. So check those out as well, and always let me know in the comments down below what you think of these, if you found them helpful, and if you have any other questions or comments, post those in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. I do appreciate it and take into account everything you say to make the best possible videos. Until next time, I'll see you later.